Hi, I'm Maria from Sew Local Stitch Lounge, and today we're going to be making a pencil case with cork. For the zippy cork pouch, we'll be using a piece of cork, a piece of quilting cotton for the lining, some thread, a zipper, and a little tassel. So we'll start by cutting the cork to be 13 inches wide and 11.5 inches tall. There isn't a direction on your cork, so it doesn't matter how it gets turned. For your quilting cotton, we want 2 pieces, 13 inches wide by 6 inches tall. Okay, so before we sew, we'll have to prepare the zipper length. If your zipper is close to the same size as the top of your cork, the long edge of the cork, then you probably don't need to cut anything off. If your zipper is longer, then we'll be cutting some of it off. On the closed end of the zipper, you're going to do the same thing for both sizes. We're just going to fold the zipper tape to the back and pin it. With the 12-inch zipper, I'm going to do the same thing on the open end. Just fold the edge of the zipper tape down. On the long one, I'm going to line the zipper up on my top edge, and I want to have about 1/2 inch of cork longer than the zipper on each end. So I want the zipper to stop here. I'm not going to cut it right there, but I'm just going to fold it under. Now we're going to be making a zipper sandwich. So we'll start with one of the lining pieces laying down on the table. So this is the bottom, this is the top. And I'm going to use Wonder Tape, but pins will also work. This is a water-soluble basting tape. So I'm going to put the zipper down in the center so that there's a little extra fabric on each side. And the zipper's going right side up here. On top of that, we're going to put the cork fabric right side down. Match up with the sides, and Wonder Tape doesn't stick to cork very well, so I'm going to throw a few clips in here. We're going to be sewing from one end all the way across. We'll have to move this pin, but the main thing is I want to keep the end of the zipper sticking out like that. So we're going to put the zipper foot on, and we'll be sewing across the top edge with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You want to sew with your cork on top because the quilting cotton is a lighter weight, and if I put the quilting cotton on top, I'd be more likely to get puckers. So the cork is staying flat, but the quilting cotton, because it's underneath, it's not going to buckle on me. We're getting close to the end. I'm going to have to pull the zipper pull out of the way. I'm going to have to open the zipper so that we can sew past it without it throwing us off the road. So I'm going to bring the needle down into the material, lift the presser foot, and just reach in and open the zipper. And then I'll adjust everything again. So I want the zipper to be looking like this, and I'm going to put the cork on top. Put the presser foot back down and So now we're gonna make another zipper sandwich with this side of the zipper. So we need to close the zipper, flip that down like this so that the top of the zipper is sticking out here. Now we have the top of the other piece, and I'm gonna place this on right on top of it. Now we're going to fold the cork up to meet this edge, like that. And we'll clip it in place. So because the zipper pull is at the beginning, now I'm going to open it up. My zipper flipped down, so I'm going to put that back in like that. And then the cork's going to sit on top of that. Now I'm going to close the zipper so that I can finish the seam without the zipper in the way. So I can't get my zipper pull closed because the lining's getting in the way and it's hard to reach in there. So I'm just going to take it right off. Now I'll be able to open it properly. Just want to backstitch over where I left off there. So that's the inside. That's what we've got right now. Looks like a weird insect. Okay, we're gonna now cut off the ends of the zipper. And now we'll open the zipper. And we have that. Now we're gonna press on the lining side. We're just trying to fold that fabric in like this. So it's easy enough at the open end. This side's gonna be a little bit trickier. I'm just gonna use the tip of the iron. The next step is to top stitch alongside both edges of the zipper, just where the zipper is and not up to the edge. So you can see that I've already done it. You can see the top stitching along there. And I thought that I was recording it, but it didn't get recorded. So instead I'm gonna show you what I did, but without a needle, because if I use a needle again through here, it'll leave holes in the cork. So I'm gonna go through the motions, but not actually sew it. So I'm starting with the open end here, and just make sure your lining fabric is pulled more to the back and you've got that zipper pulled out. We're gonna line up the edge of the foot with the teeth of the zipper. I've got my regular presser foot back on, and I've moved my needle over to the right. So I'm just gonna show you how I do that by adjusting the width. So it starts out at 3.5, that's right in the center, and I'm moving it to 6.5. So that brings it over to the right, almost all the way to the right. 7 would be as far as it goes. So because I'm not gonna use a needle for this, I'm gonna be taking that needle out. We also have a longer top stitch length of 3. When we get close to the closed end, it gets kind of awkward. So you'll just pull that towards you and flatten it out. And don't worry about the cork, it's very tough, you're not gonna hurt it. And now we'll backstitch just a bit. So remember, we don't wanna sew right to the edge, we wanna leave some of that open. And we're done. That side, so they can pull that away. So I also have a different color thread in my bobbin because I want it to blend in with my lining fabric, and I have blue on the top for for the cork. So now we're going to be doing the same thing on the other side of the zipper, but we're starting at the more challenging side. So open that zipper and pull it around like this. Put the presser foot down. Make sure your lining is pulled away so that it's not folding under. Just get that zipper pull out of the way a little bit. You don't need to move your needle, it's gonna be in the right spot now. So just up to where the zipper is only. So now we've got this happening. So we're gonna bring the 2 lining pieces right sides together and we'll match up the corners. I'm using pins in the lining only. You don't want to put pins in your cork. And right here, where the zipper seam is, it's a little awkward because of the top stitching, but we didn't top stitch all the way to the edge, so we are able to open up those seams. And I want to bring those together. So it's pretty important that your 2 cork edges line up. If that means that one of your lining pieces is longer, that's okay, we can trim that, but we don't want the cork, that seam, to be uneven. We'll just leave a little spot open in the lining. If you don't have a marker around, this is kind of a nice trick to remind you to leave a space. And just stick 2 pins close to each other. So we're not going to sew in the middle. So I need to go back to my regular settings, and the fastest way to do that is just turn it off and back on. So we'll be doing this in 2 sections, 2 L shapes, starting with the fold down here at the cork. And we're using a 3/8 seam allowance. This almost feels like I'm turning a corner just because this part here is a little bit bigger than right over here where it was top stitched because it's pulling the fabric in a bit, but I'm just gonna keep on going. I'm looking here to see my stitches. So because it was really thick, it skipped some. So often when you're sewing up to a bumpy spot, it's going to be fine, and then just over the bump you're gonna have some skip stitches. So what I'm gonna do is sew again from this side. So I'm gonna just flip it over and I'm gonna reinforce that spot up in the corner. So it's a lot better now. We'll see what's the other side looking like. It's fine. So I'm just going to trim the seam allowance a little bit by the zipper seam. Okay, so now we're going to do box corners, and I'm going to reach in, make sure your zipper is open all the way up, and we're just going to flatten that out like this. And because we don't have a bottom seam in the cork, it makes this a little bit easier. We want to open up that side seam just to make it flatter. And when we do a box corner, we're measuring, for the 3-inch box corner, we're measuring to the spot where it shows 3 inches across, where it's 3 inches across. So I have this little ruler that helps me measure that. If you line up that center line, when I first do that, the first thing I check is that the sides of the triangles are lined up, and this one is not, and that means that my center is not, seam is not in the center. I'm just gonna roll this over a little bit like that. And that's a lot better. So now I'll pull it down till it matches up with the 3-inch line and draw a line across here. And then we do the same thing on the other side. We need to make 2 more in the lining. For this, you can also open that seam. And we want the side seam to match up with the bottom seam. Now we'll sew across those lines that we made. Now we're going to cut off the excess. We want to leave about 1/4 inch. And now we'll turn it right side out. That's pretty. We'll tuck those seam allowances in. And we're going to sew across that. So I'm going to use regular thread to tie the tassel onto the end of the zipper. If you have a heavier thread, it's a good idea. I think I'm going to use 4 strands. I've kind of layered it up.